Japan is often thought of as one of the safest countries in the world, a land of anime, cherry blossoms, incredible food, and polite people. But underneath the neon lights of Tokyo and the quiet shrines of Kyoto, there are shadows the police have been chasing for decades. You've most likely heard of the FBI's most wanted list, but Japan has its own list filled with fugitives, ghosts who vanished into thin air, and cold-blooded killers who left behind a trail of bodies. These are the faces on the posters seen by millions of Japanese citizens, but found by none. Hi, I'm Richard, and you're watching Dark Silk. Today we're going to be hunting the 10 most wanted fugitives in Japan, and going through some of the crimes that made them the country's most elusive monsters. Kogure Hiroshi, bounty 3 million yen. When we think of dangerous criminals, we usually picture someone with a long record, someone the system failed to stop early enough. Hiroshi doesn't fit that picture. He made the top of the list with one single brutal night. Born in 1969, standing around 170 centimeters or 5'7", Hiroshi lived a quiet, unremarkable life as a delivery driver in Gunma. He was awkward, reserved, and forgettable. This was until his route brought him to a drugstore where he became fixated on an 18-year-old clerk named Ishii. He memorized her schedule, her habits, and eventually her address. He bought a brand new black Nissan Silvia, a sports car he proudly told his co-workers that was just for her, even though they had only been on one date. On January 14, 1998, Ishii came home from work like every other day. She opened the door, stepped inside, and found Hiroshi standing there, calm, waiting. He had broken in and had been inside that apartment for hours. He restrained her, and for the next 3 hours, he confessed his love for her while she called out to her family, but no one answered. When he finally left and she got free, that's when she found them. Her father, her mother, and her 85-year-old grandmother, all murdered. Hiroshi had killed her entire family before she got home, and then simply waited for her to walk through the door. After walking out, he climbed into his black Nissan Silvia and vanished. Despite 2,500 tips and nearly 3 decades of searching, neither the man nor the car has ever been found. Investigators still look for a man who would now be 57 years old. A man with the distinctive habit of obsessively smelling his hands and biting his nails. He remains Japan's most elusive ghost, with a 3 million yen bounty or $20,000 on his head and a permanent spot on the nation's most wanted posters. Obara Katsuyuki, bounty 3 million yen. Katsuyuki stands 170 centimeters or 5'7" and was born in 1979. But depending on who you ask, he's either a killer on the run or a man who was buried long ago. On June 28, 2008, a 17-year-old girl named Sato received a call from Katsuyuki, her best friend's boyfriend. He claimed he needed some relationship advice. Before she left, she jokingly told her partner, "I might be killed." Little did she know, it was a joke that turned into a prophecy. Sato was last seen on a 7-Eleven security camera, reading a magazine for 17 minutes before vanishing. 2 days later, her body was found in a mountain stream. She had been strangled and dropped from a bridge. Katsuyuki didn't just run, he put on a performance. First, he crashed his car into a utility pool on a perfectly straight road, telling a passing fisherman, "I'm finished. I have no choice but to die." Then he left his wallet, sandals, and car keys on the edge of the Unosu Cliffs, a famous spot for someone with nothing left before disappearing. The police didn't buy it. They found the victim's hair in the backseat and concluded that he had faked his death to escape justice. But here's where the story gets interesting. A freelance journalist uncovered a terrifying coincidence. Katsuyuki's girlfriend and the murder victim had the exact same name. Both were named Sato Kozui. Katsuyuki had recently been threatened by a man named as Mr. Y, a figure linked to the Yakuza. Katsuyuki owed him 1.2 million yen and had used his girlfriend, Sato, as a guarantor. Many believe that the Yakuza went to collect the debt in blood and killed the wrong Sato by mistake. When Katsuyuki realized he was being framed for the Yakuza hit, he fled. But the mystery doesn't end there. Shortly after the journalist went public with evidence of a police cover-up, he was found dead in his car. Today, Katsuyuki would be 47 years old. The police are adamant that he is still alive and on the run. But with his sandals left on the cliff and no sighting in 17 years, some believe he didn't jump, he was taken. Whether he's a fugitive or a victim, his face remains on every wanted poster in Japan, with a 3 million bounty waiting for anyone who can find the truth. Mitate Shinichi, bounty 6 million yen. Mitate Shinichi is perhaps the most dangerous name on the list. Born in 1979 and standing at 167 centimeters or about 5'6", he is described as well-built with distinctive scars on his left forearm and across his forehead. But don't let his height fool you. Mitate possessed a genius-level IQ of 145, a brain he used not for society but to engineer one of the most feared criminal organizations in Tokyo's history. Despite being born into an ordinary family, Mitate was said to be a born psychopath. As a teenager, his hobbies included torturing animals. By 16, he had joined the Kanto Rango, a notorious motorcycle gang. Under his leadership, the group transformed from a band of delinquents into a ruthless syndicate. Mitate earned the nickname the Prince of Cruelty because he lacked any sense of discrimination. He would extort, kidnap, or assault anyone, man, woman, or child, often pulling out the teeth or fingernails of his rivals. The event that finally put him on the global wanted list occurred on September 2nd, 2012, in the flashy nightlife district of Roppongi. Believing a rival gangster was partying in the VIP area of a club named Studio Flower, Mitate and 11 of his henchmen stormed the venue wearing balaclavas and armed with metal baseball bats. In a frenzy of violence, they cornered their target and beat him to death in front of a horrified crowd. It was a case of mistaken identity. The man they killed was 31-year-old Ryosuke Fujimoto, a restaurant manager, no gang ties, no enemies, just a man at a club at the wrong place at the wrong time, beaten to death because they had the wrong person. While 50 members of his gang were eventually rounded up, Mitate, the ringleader, was already gone. With the help of a mistress and the massive cash injection from his associates, he fled to the Philippines. For 14 years, Mitate has been a ghost in Southeast Asia. There are reports he's had extensive plastic surgery to alter his face. Today, he would be 47 years old. Between the Japanese government and private donors, there is a 6 million yen bounty, over $40,000, for someone who proved that a genius mind without a soul is the most dangerous weapon of all. Hatta Yoichi, bounty 8 million yen. Hatta Yoichi is one of Japan's most wanted men, and only at 29 years old, he is the youngest on the list. Standing at 175 centimeters, or about 5'9", he doesn't look like a typical hardened criminal. He has a boyish look and innocent face, but beneath that exterior is a pathological narcissist with a history of scamming, illegal confinement, and a chilling, calculated approach to violence. The incident that made him a household name occurred on the night of June 29th, 2022. Two 19-year-old university students were on their motorbikes in Beppu City when they crossed paths with Hatta in a parking lot. Hatta was playing music at full volume on his phone, a massive sign of disrespect in Japan. When one of the students looked at him with confusion, Hatta snapped. He shouted, "What the hell are you looking at?" before the students bowed respectfully and rode away to avoid trouble. But Hatta wasn't finished. 3 minutes later, as the students sat at a red light, they heard the roar of an engine. Hatta had followed them in his white car and, without braking, plowed into them at nearly 100 kilometers an hour. One student died instantly, the other was left with grievous injuries. Hatta abandoned his car and vanished. He left his wallet, phone, and shoes inside the vehicle, fleeing barefoot into a nearby harbor. A short time later, his shirt was found near the water's edge. While some thought he had drowned, experts believed it was a calculated move. By ditching his shirt, he could blend in as a late-night jogger in an area with no CCTV coverage. What makes this case truly infuriating is the police response. Despite having his ID in the car, authorities didn't visit Hatta's home for 2 full days, giving him a massive head start. Even worse, he was initially only wanted for a road traffic violation, which carries a 7-year statute of limitations. It wasn't until June 2024 that the changes were finally upgraded to murder, after a long campaign by the victims' families. Today, the bounty for Hatta stands at 8 million yen, about $53,000, the largest in the country. He is a self-obsessed outdoorsman who was known to spend hours staring at himself in the mirror and practicing rigorous beauty routines. Investigators believe he may be hiding in abandoned buildings or in the mountains, perhaps even disguising himself as a woman using his knowledge of makeup. He remains the first hit-and-run suspect in Japanese history to be designated highly wanted. Lin Shawei. Lin Shawei is a man who turned a petty theft into a life sentence in a split-second decision. Born in 1973 and standing at 178 centimeters, or about 5'10", He is currently wanted for both robbery and murder. On the afternoon of October 1st, 1999, Lin was inside a pachinko parlor in the Minami-ku district of Nagoya. He wasn't there to play fair. He was caught using a specialized instrument to fraudulently extract metals from the machines. When a parlor employee spotted the scam, Lin didn't surrender. He bolted out of the parlor and into the crowded streets. 3 employees gave chase, eventually catching up to Lin a short distance away. But as the worker moved to stop him, Lin pulled out a knife-like object and plunged it into one of the employee's chest. The employee later died at a local hospital. Lin disappeared into the Nagoya crowds and hasn't been seen since. Yoshiya Tsuyoshi, born in 1977 and standing at 172 centimeters, is a man whose name literally translates to strength. He was a natural-born leader, but his legacy isn't one of honor, it's one of senseless, brutal violence. Yoshiya was the ringleader for a motorcycle gang known as Dragon. This wasn't just any gang. Dragon was primarily made up of second and third generation Japanese orphans, descendants of Japanese citizens abandoned in China after World War II. When these families finally returned to Japan in the 80s and 90s, they were met with discrimination and poverty. In the ghettos of Tokyo, the youth organized for solidarity and rights, but under Yoshiya, that solidarity turned into bloodlust. On the night of June 4th, 1999, in a parking lot in Tokyo, Yoshiya and 12 of his henchmen cornered 2 young men following a trivial slight. They didn't just fight, they bounded the victims' hands and feet. Then they used wooden swords to beat 19-year-old Kodai Kitajima so severely that his head was essentially stoved in. Kitajima died on the scene, while 15 other members of Dragon were eventually arrested and charged. For 27 years, Yoshiya has been a phantom. He is famously described on wanted posters as having curly hair and a very distinctive round scar in the center of his forehead, a detail that makes him very hard to miss, yet he remains at large. The prevailing theory is that he likely escaped to China, the country his parents once desperately tried to leave. Today, he would be 49 years old. Miyauchi Yudai, born in 1975 and standing at 177 centimeters, Miyauchi Yudai is wanted for a brutal home invasion that took place in 2013. He allegedly broke into a private residence with the intent to rob the homeowners, but the situation quickly turned violent. During the struggle, he caused significant injuries to the residents before escaping with his haul and disappearing into the night. Today, he would be 51 years old. Despite over a decade of silence, his face is still kept on posters, hoping someone will recognize him. Li Hui, born in 1963 and standing at 165 centimeters, Li Hui is wanted for a high-value robbery and assault that took place in Tokyo on December 15, 2000. Li and his accomplices broke into a dentist's residence where they tied up and assaulted 2 women. They stole cash, jewelry, a rifle, and a shotgun, a haul worth approximately 43 million yen or $270,000. While all 5 of his accomplices were eventually arrested and the weapons recovered, Li remains at large. Ochi Kiyoshi, born in 1952 and standing at 175 centimeters, he is wanted for the 2006 murder and dismemberment of his wife, Aiko. On March 1, 2006, a sign appeared in the window of Aiko's Osaka pharmacy, stating that it will be closed for a week due to a family tragedy. During that week, Ochi was seen selling his wife's belongings at pawn shops for cash. When police eventually searched their home, they found the bathroom floors, walls, and ceilings saturated with blood that had been scrubbed clean. Investigators say Ochi fled to a remote island with only 150 residents. After being spotted giving away his personal possessions to locals, including his watch, he was last seen walking into the island's mountainous terrain. Today, Ochi would be 74 years old. He is noted for having bad skin, and despite nearly 2 decades of searching, neither he nor his wife's body has ever been found. Matayoshi Takeo, born in 1949 and standing at 172 centimeters, Matayoshi Takeo is the longest-running fugitive on the list. He is wanted for the 1990 execution of 2 plainclothes officers in Okinawa. The incident occurred during a violent gang war involving the syndicate. The 2 officers were conducting surveillance on a gang safe house from an unmarked car when they were ambushed at point-blank range. It is believed the gang members mistook the undercover officers for a rival hit squad. While his accomplice, Hideo Zamami, was caught and sentenced to life in prison, Matayoshi disappeared. The trail went cold until October 2000, when a man believed to be Matayoshi appeared at a hospital in Kyoto complaining of severe back pain. X-rays revealed a metastatic tumor in his spine. However, once he received the results and realized the police might be notified, he fled the hospital and was never seen again. Today, Matayoshi would be 76 years old, but given the severity of his medical condition 26 years ago, many believe he is likely deceased. But the Japanese police refuse to remove him from the posters until they have absolute proof of his fate. Hishikawa Tatsumi. Now, I know I said this will be a top 10 list, but I actually have one more for you, a bonus 11th entry. Born in 1976 and standing at just 158 centimeters, about 5'2". Unlike the petty thieves or solo killers we've seen, Hishikawa was a professional soldier for the Yakuza. On the morning of September 12, 2017, Hishikawa was spotted on a quiet suburban street corner in Kobe. Moments later, as a 3-car Yakuza motorcade turned a tight corner, Hishikawa drew a firearm and charged. In the ensuing chaos, he shot and killed a personal bodyguard for a rival gang boss in broad daylight. In a country like Japan, where gun violence is incredibly rare, this execution sent shockwaves throughout the prefecture. Police eventually recovered a bag containing 2 handguns near the scene, but Hishikawa had already vanished. His girlfriend was arrested 6 months later for harboring a criminal, but she provided no leads. Today, Hishikawa is 48 years old. He remains on the run, likely protected by the deep-seated networks of the Kobe underworld. Those are 10 of Japan's most wanted fugitives, with a bonus one thrown in. Some of these people have been hiding for over 30 years, while others, like Hatta Yoichi, only just started their run. If you enjoyed these deeper dives at the most wanted list, let me know in the comments so I know I can make more like this. I'm Richard, and this has been Dark Silk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.